The latest reports from the United Nations expert body on climate issues, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, makes the following urgent recommendations. To have at least a 67% chance of stabilizing average global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius, we cannot release more than 420 billion tons of carbon dioxide from 2018 onwards. This is called our global carbon budget. What we do with other greenhouse gases can change these carbon dioxide numbers. In 2019, we emitted at least 37 billion tons of carbon dioxide. If we continued at that level of emissions, we will use up the global carbon budget for a 67% chance of 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030. If we emit less each year, we have a longer time to phase out emissions. To give ourselves a 50% or better chance to stay below the 1.5 degrees Celsius global warming target, the world needs to cut emissions by 45% below 2019 levels by 2030, and continue reducing from there. We don't have much time left to do this. We are not on track to meet these global climate targets. As at June 2022, Climate Action Tracker finds that there is an emissions reduction gap of 17 to 20 billion tons carbon dioxide equivalent between what the IPCC says is necessary in 2030 and targets countries have committed to under the United Nations Climate Change Paris Agreement. In other words, countries' national climate targets are not aggressive enough. Further, there is an implementation gap between countries' targets and the policies they actually have in place. The policies in place at the moment put emissions at 57 billion tons carbon dioxide equivalent in 2030, leading to global warming of at least 2.4 degrees Celsius. We must be at net zero emissions by about 2050. That is the emissions released, minus the emissions absorbed by carbon sinks. This deadline assumes that we can achieve negative emissions after that year, sucking large amounts of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Experts, however, doubt that it is possible at that scale. It is high time that we exert all efforts to reduce our contribution to global greenhouse gas emissions and do our part to keep the global temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius.